Hello friends, I have been getting some requests about the various details of how to make the package for green card. So in this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step instruction of all the forms that you need to send for your application. And I will also show you how I arranged my application. When you make your I-140 package, your main goal should be arrange the package in such a way that the person who is reading it finds it easy to read. So ease of reading should be your main focus while you're making this package. So with that in mind, let me show you how the package was arranged. So let's first start with what the different forms are. Okay, so this is the part of the cover letter. If you haven't looked at the cover letter yet, please go look at the cover letter. I have a video about cover letter on my channel, and I also have a link where you can download a template of the cover letter. So these are the documents that I attached in my package. The first document was a check of $3,200, $700 for Form I-140, and $2,500 for Form I-907, which was for premium processing. If you don't want to do premium processing, then you don't have to pay $2,500, and you also don't need to send Form I-907. If you're doing an EB2 NIW application, then premium processing is not allowed for EB2 NIW, so you should not be sending this $2,500. Then the other forms are G1145, Form I140, 907, and other documents. So let's start with Form G1145. So this is the Form G1145. As you can see, this is Form G1145. This is not a required form. This is a form which you can use for e-notification of your application. So once your application has reached the USCIS, they will send you an email and a text message confirmation that your form has reached. So this is the form that you can send if you want to get an email notification. This is a very simple form. I have provided the link where you can download this form. Write your name, your last name, first name, your email address, and your phone number that you want to use. The next form is Form I-140. So this is Form I-140. As you can see, it's mentioned here. I have provided a link for the form in my description. And you can see that this form expires on June 30th, 2022. So make sure you have the latest form. Always you can go on the website and download the latest form. Do not use a form which is expired. The first part of the form you don't have to fill anything. Then in part 1 you provide your name, then you provide your mailing address. If you have an EIN number or a social security number or a US online account number, you can provide those numbers over here. Then you have to tick a box on which category are you applying for. I applied for EB1A. If you are applying for EB2 NIW application, then you should check 1H. Then in the second part, you should check this box for Schedule A, Group 1 or Group 2 designation. Part 3 is about the person who is filing the application. In this case, we are self-petitioning, so we provide our name and our address, and then we provide other information about us, which is our hometown, date of birth, home state, home country, country of citizenship, and US social security number if you have. In this part, you will provide the information about your I-94. So if you have come to the US, you must have an I-94 form. You can also download it from the internet, and you have to provide the last date that you entered the United States and the I-94 number. You should also write the expiration date which is authorized to stay on Form I-94. Then you should provide your visa status, your passport number, your home country, and the expiration date of your passport or travel document. In part 4, indicate where are you going to apply for the adjustment of status. If you are in the US, you will click part 2A, where you say that you are already in the United States and you will apply for adjustment of status in the United States. In part 4, you will provide the information about your home country and home address. In part 4, you will provide information about your home country and home address, your mailing address of your home country. So if you have some family members, you can provide the information of your family member in your home country. If you are only applying for I-140, which is the petition for alien worker, you should check no. Otherwise, you should check yes, and you should provide the information of what other form that you are sending with your application. So normally you would be sending form for I-485, which is for the change of status. In my case, I did not send form I-145. I did the two processes I-140 and I-485 separately. So I checked no. Then here are some simple questions that you have to answer. Most of the time you would be answering no to all of them. Then we are self petitioning, so you check this box. Then you have to provide information about the occupation that you would be working on and what is your current annual income. If you have a job currently, you should provide the information on job title, what is the SOC code. So the Department of Labor provides a code for every job. You can find that code on this website. So www.bls.gov. I will put the link in the description section. So you should find out what is the SOC code for your job title and provide that information here. Then you have to give a small description of what you actually do. So I'm a professor, so I wrote I'm an assistant professor of physics. My job includes teaching undergraduate and graduate courses, research in physics, and providing service to university. So you can provide a simple 2-3 line description of your job right here. You have to indicate that it's a full-time position or a part-time position. You should specify how much money you earn per year or per hour and so on. And then you have to provide the information about your employer. The next section is about your spouse and children for who you are filing. So if in this petition you also want to include your spouse and your children who are below the age of 21, then this is where you provide information. Finally, you have to sign the document. Because we are self-petitioning, you check this box and you say that yes, I can read and understand English and I have read all these information in this document. Check this box and then you have to sign here. Put your signature and the date of your signature. After this, you are essentially finished with this form. Okay, so it's a pretty simple form. You only have to complete some parts of it. So let's move on to the next form, which is form I-907. This is request for premium processing. You only need to submit this form if you're requesting premium processing. So this is the form for request for premium processing. Again, you should make sure that you check the expiry date on this form. First part of the form, you don't have to fill anything. In the second part, you have to provide your information about yourself. So your name, last name, your mailing address. You have to inform whether you are the petitioner who is filing this. So check the first box in number 8. About the request, you have to provide information that you're doing it for I-140. Your classification that you requested is EB1, EB1A. So you should mention that. Provide your last name, your first name. And after that, you have to provide your address. You have to check that you can read and understand whatever is provided in this form, and then you provide your phone number, email address, and you will have to provide your signature here. Okay, make sure you sign and make sure you put the date. After that, we are essentially done with form I-907. Along with all these forms, you also need to submit a form ETA 750B. So form ETA-B is a form which is used by the Labor Department for employment certification. Again, make sure you have the latest form. Here you have to provide your name, last name, first name, your current address, your birth date, your home country, your current address in the US, If you have an employer, you should provide the information about your employer, their name and address, your occupation in which you will be working on once you get the green card. In my case, this would be a physicist. Then you need to provide where would you like to go for your fingerprinting. Generally, you should provide the nearest place that you can go for fingerprinting. In my case, it was Charlotte. You have to provide information about your education. Then you can also provide information about other qualifications that you have. If you have certain certification, additional training, vocational training, and so on, you can provide information about that here. And finally, you have to provide a list of all documents that you would be sending with the ETA form. On the second page, you have to provide information of your employer. For how long have you been working? Is this a full-time job or not? And then a description of your work. Similarly, you have to also provide information of your previous employer. So in my case, the only employer I had was University of Pennsylvania. I was a postdoctoral researcher. I worked there for 4 years. It's an institute of higher education. I was a full-time employee, and these were my responsibilities. Provide some simple layman description of what you were doing. It doesn't have to be very technical. And finally, you have to sign in this. So after form 907, I listed the documents that I was sending along with my application, which were the photocopies of passport, visa, form I-20, EAD card, H1 visa, I-797, form I-94, and so on. Make sure you make a copy of these documents and send a copy of all these documents with your application. Then the sixth thing is the cover letter, which is what we are looking at right now. This is the cover letter. The seventh item was the statements of what you will be doing once you get your green card. I have provided a template for both the cover letter and the statement, whose link is in the description. You can use that to write your own statement. Then number 8 was a list of exhibits. So in order to provide evidence for the different criteria, I made a list of all these exhibits. So here is the list of exhibits that I was providing. I provided my CV, my transcripts of my bachelor's, master's, PhD, evidence that I was employed at different universities, then recommendation letters and so on. So I made a list of all the documents that I was presenting. The numbering of these evidence also helps to refer in the cover letter. So if you have seen my cover letter, you probably already know why we have numbered in this way. Somebody asked me how did my CV look like. So let me show you my CV. So this is how my CV look like. This is a very simple format. I try to make it very simple and clear so that the person who is reading it can easily find information. I started with my education, my employment, my teaching experience, my awards, and then I presented information on the membership of the various societies that I am a part of. I provided a list of all the scientific conferences that I have presented my work. I also indicated if I was invited to the conference or I was a contributing author. Then I provided a list of all the publications, and finally I also provided information about the various grants that I have. So this number actually helps you show that you are a person who is doing good research and whose research is being supported by other several governmental funding agencies. So after the list of exhibits, all the other documents whose photocopy I was attaching with my cover letter, I made a separate list of those documents. And then once I had these documents, I printed them out and then put them in the same order as it listed on my cover letter. So the very first document was the check of $3,200, then form G1145, then form I-40, I-907. I had the copies of all these documents. Then I had the cover letter. I have my statement. Then I put these two pages where I had provided the list of the exhibits, and then I had another page where I had provided a list of additional documents. So after the list of exhibits, I included the exhibits themselves. So these exhibits included the CV and my transcripts and degrees and so on. So in order to present the exhibits and make sure that it's easy to read, I separated each exhibit with a page like this. I made a page where I would provide the exhibit number and what the exhibit was about. So the very first exhibit was my CV. So I wrote exhibit number 1 and CV of Dr. Vijay Singh. The second exhibit was the transcript. The third exhibit was the MS Trans. My fifth exhibit was the evidence that I was employed at University of Pennsylvania and so on. So for every exhibit, I printed a separate page, and between each exhibit, I included this one page so that it would be easy to read. Also, I on each exhibit I put a sticky note like this, and then I wrote down the number of the exhibit. So once all the documents are together, the sticky notes were coming out of the document with the number, so it will be easy to find where that exhibit is. Once I had these documents, so for every exhibit and cover letter and so on, I used staples like this to clip them together. So each exhibit was clipped with that paper or my cover letter and so on. Everything was clipped using such kind of a clip. I did not use any stapler. If you have a stapler, then the person will have to break the stapler. I used clips like these to separate each exhibit and each letter from each other. And once I had the whole document, so after I had all my papers, I used a tool like this to make two holes, to punch two holes in my document. And then I used a string, like a piece of string, to tie it together. And I made it in such a way that it would be very easy to open all the documents. So what I did was I printed all the documents, arranged it in the manner I just explained to you. I punched holes using the tools. I put sticky notes on each document. I clipped each exhibit and the letters separately. I put sticky notes on each one of them so it's easy to find once they're all stacked together. And then I took the whole stack and using the holes that I had made in all the documents, I tied them using a string. And I tried it in such a way that it would be easy to open for someone else who is who is reading the package. Once I had tied the document, I put it in a plastic bag and then mailed it. So this is how I made my I-140 package. I used this package to apply for EB1A. You can also use the same package for EB2 and IW. Just make sure that you have the correct forms and you tick the correct boxes in the I-140 form. If you still have any questions, put it in the comment box and I would be happy to answer them. Okay, good luck with your application. Bye.